Today FM is #1 here in Singapore.
We love Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks in Sabah.
Loto kasi di love today's kid music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Boulevard Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
News tonight, Maris Brothers and Jasper Williams High Schools retain their titles at the Coca-Cola Games. New Pacific Islands Development Forum Secretariat opens in Suva. And dengue cases decrease in the Western Division. Good evening, welcome to FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. Maris Brothers and Jasper Williams High Schools have successfully defended the 2014 Coca-Cola Games at the ANZ Stadium in Suva. In what seemed a close encounter with Natambua High, Maris Brothers overcame all odds to finish off with 14 gold, 9 silver and 10 bronze. It was 3 more gold medals than Natambua. Jasper reigned supreme for another year to upset Andhra Kambao and keep St. Joseph Secondary at bay. More to follow in our sports bulletin. History was created today in Suva with the opening of the New Pacific Islands Development Forum or PIDF Secretariat. The PIDF is a grand coalition of Pacific governments, civil society organizations and businesses, all working together to enhance the cause of Pacific peoples everywhere. Mika Longa reports.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama made it clear from the outset that the new PIDF building isn't a grand headquarters to house a bloated bureaucracy.
I'm sure you'll all agree that the restoration and refurbishment of this building has provided us with a very serviceable headquarters for the Secretariat. It is relatively modest in keeping with our objectives, but I'm sure it will also be a pleasant and productive environment for those who work here.
Senior government officials, civil society and non-government representatives, regional bodies and diplomats came out in numbers to witness this historic occasion.
This also seems to me to be a very appropriate headquarters for the organisation. It's not grand, it's functional, beautifully done.
I think it's a very good idea to have an independent building for the PIDF Secretariat here. And I've just gone through the building. It looks very impressive. A small space has been converted into a very functional office space, and I think that reflects the ideals that are enshrined in the whole concept of the Pacific Islands Development Forum.
While we are starting small, let there be no doubt that the 13 Pacific countries who have already joined Fiji in the PIDF have big ambitions for the organization.
The Fijian government has made it clear the PIDF is not competition to any regional body, including the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat.
Of course, there are areas of overlap, but areas of overlap are good because they show up the areas that need to be focused on. But as long as those areas of overlap are worked upon in complementarity rather than competition, we're fine.
The IDF's future will depend on its relevance, existing relevance to the stakeholders which it represents.
Newly appointed interim PIDF chairman and FSM ambassador to Fiji, Gerson Jackson, says the newly established regional organization looks forward to addressing challenges of the Pacific.
See how we can help all the member countries as well as the 3 sub-regional groupings like MSG, Micronesian Chief Executive Summit as well as the new Polynesian grouping.
Meanwhile, the second Pacific Islands Development Forum will be held in Nandi in June, where more aspiring countries are expected to attend. The formalities ended with a celebration of Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama's birthday. He turned 60 today. Mika Longa, FBC News.
Meanwhile, former Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat Deputy Secretary General Feleti Teo has been appointed Interim Secretary General of the Pacific Islands Development Forum. Fiji's roving ambassador for the Pacific, Lithia Maui, says Theo will be confirmed as the Secretary General during the second PIDF meeting in June in Nandi. Theo was appointed by the PIDF Governing Council, chaired by Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama, and endorsed by the Fijian Cabinet. Former Deputy Secretary for Foreign Affairs Penichamini Lomaloma is Interim Deputy Secretary General. A family in Suva lost their home and all their belongings in a fire late yesterday afternoon. Firefighters battled the blaze and stopped it from spreading to nearby properties. However, they were unable to save anything inside the double-story building. Police and fire investigators are trying to determine what caused the fire. The incident brings to 35 the number of fires on residential properties this year. There has been a call for the public and the business communities to improve their understanding of various rights and processes related to intellectual property. This is the key focus of the World Intellectual Property Day, which is being celebrated at the Government Service Centre in Suva. Shireen Latta reports.
World Intellectual Property Day is observed annually on 26th April. The event was established by the World Intellectual Property Organization in 2000 to raise awareness of how patents, copyright, trademarks and designs impact on daily life.
We are reaching out to a broad spectrum of the public, and we think it should start from the youths, the students. So we have a poster and essay competition that is actually out, encouraging people to write to us or provide any form of creativity.
Fiji Intellectual Property Office believes there is a need for Fijians to strengthen their understanding of intellectual property rights. There is a Copyright Act which is aimed at ensuring that individuals and entities are protected with copyright.
The focus now is shifted tremendously towards the use of electronic mediums. That's downloading of various forms of websites. So it is a concern for all of us.
Over the past few years, several people have been prosecuted who were involved in piracy.
As of last year, there was a successful appeal in relation to a prosecution against a trader in the Singatoka municipality who was downloading illegally DVDs of songs, local music. And that has been one of our successful cases so far.
Various assistance and information related to intellectual property can be directed to the Ministry of Justice at Suvavau House in Suva. Shireen Latta, FBC News.
There has been a reduction in the number of dengue fever cases in the Western Division. Josephine Navula has the details.
Cleanup campaigns and other steps taken by authorities and the public in the Western Division in the past few weeks to address outbreaks of dengue have paid off.
The last 2 weeks we've seen the leveling of the curve. Before it was a steep curve going up, but now it has leveled off and starting to drop. That is the good news, and I must thank the people of our people of the Western Division for adhering to the warnings and all the notices of them to clean up their compound.
Although there are fewer new cases, tents remain at the Lotoka, Ba and Nandi hospitals to ease off congestions from people seeking treatment. At the same time, message remains the same.
But the message to the people is to continue to clean their compounds. The grass will grow, the drains will be blocked, but continue to clean your compound because the dengue is still around. It's still around in the west. The mosquito is still around. We need to not only to take away the mosquito, but to kill those mosquitoes that are spreading this dengue to the Western Division.
Though the national anti-dengue cleanup campaign has ended, the public is still being urged to keep their compounds clean, cut overgrown grasses, and properly dispose containers that may collect waters and breed dengue-carrying mosquitoes. Josephine Navula, FBC News.
Coming up after the break, canteen boosts morale of staff employed by Fiji Pine.
Gonga elambasa Mbula FM number 2 na sere.
Ndo talita kana borong na Mbula FM number 2 na sere su.
Au waitu tu garaki au rebot tu nistima au ndo talita kana borong na Mbula.
Pala Fiji, Mbula FM number 2 Singatoka.
Bula bina era roga Bula FM number 2 Tikola
Bula FM number 2 and Serre.
Welcome back to FBC News. The President Ratu Epeli Nailatikau has urged Scouts to start preparing for the Scouts Jamboree Centennial celebrations, which will be held in August. Ratu Epeli, who is the President of the Fiji Scouts Association, hosted Scouts from around the country at Government House in Suva today.
The Scouting movement is going to hold one of its biggest and perhaps most memorable events on its calendar.
We have come a long way, and we are fortunate that our generation will witness and participate in the Fiji Centennial Jamboree at Queen Victoria School, Matabatudo, in August of this year.
Scouting is a movement that aims to support young people in their physical, mental and spiritual development, that they may play constructive roles in society with a strong focus on the outdoors and survival skills. This training is just as much as relevant as it is today than it was in the 20th century when it was started by Robert Baden-Powell.
These young people were trained on discipline, on how they prepare themselves before they got married. This in terms of farms they have. They also do community work and assist women in terms of planting their vegetable farms to assist in their income.
Another Scouts leader has noted a change in the attitude of children who were part of the Scouts Association.
We have seen like the character building. Mostly the children are independent now and they know how to bring up their own self as the citizens of Fiji.
All Scouts around the country will now prepare for the Jamboree Centennial, which will be held at Queen Victoria School in Matavatudo, Tailevu in August. Wasita Kote Wasa, FBC News.
After 8 weeks of vigorous training, 35 recruits graduated as firefighters from the Tongalevu Navy Base. They were selected from more than 600 applicants. Speaking at the passing out parade yesterday, Permanent Secretary for Works, Transport and Public Utilities, Commander Francis Keane reminded them of the work that they will now have to carry out.
You are in the business of protecting properties and saving lives. A firefighting career is one of service. With service comes sacrifice, commitment and diligence. You will be challenged to go the extra mile at the expense of self. I encourage you, the 35 recruits this morning, to be consistent in your effort to uphold the ethos and values of the National Fire Authority.
Commander Keane also revealed the government is assisting in the expansion of emergency ambulance services in the Western and Northern Division. He says government is also assisting in the purchase and installation of 282 fire hydrants in densely populated and highly risky economic areas. Surrounded by pine forests in the interior of Drasa Lotoka, Fiji Pine Industries until recently didn't have a proper facility to cater for its employees' tea and lunch breaks. That ended on February 28 when Prime Minister Vorenga Bainimarama opened the $170,000 four-star canteen to provide meals for the 300 staff. Akasita Tale visited the restaurant and found it is the first of its kind to provide meal vouchers for each staff.
The canteen has boosted the morale of each staff to appreciate coming to work. It's different from other canteens, as employees are each given 3 meal vouchers of $3.50 every week.
You can have a facility like this, but it doesn't make sense if your employees are not fully utilizing it. So it is $10.50 a week for each employee, except for senior management, and they are able to bring those vouchers to the canteen and purchase food for that amount at any point in time.
The company believes this is the best opportunity to give back to their staff for the contribution they've made to increase productivity at Fiji Pine.
It brings about a great sense of ownership. So the employees like to come to work, they look forward to coming to work, and when they come to work, they work hard.
We'd like to thank the management for bringing about many changes, and we're very lucky to be given vouchers, and they have been positive changes seen, especially helping us eat well during work. We are very happy about the vouchers given, as it has greatly helped us with our work. Many at times we blame food for our lack of productivity, but now, thanks to the management, we're all happy about it.
The company has also allowed the canteen owners rent-free, so they provide meals at a discounted price to the staff and maintain a high quality of food.
We want our workers to be healthy. That's one of the driving forces. If they eat well, they perform well. If they eat well, they are happier. So that brings about healthy living.
Fiji Pine Industries spends around $1,000 each week for the meal vouchers. However, they say this is something they're giving back to their staff and hopes other companies do so. Ako si Tatale, FBC News.
Senior members of the discipline forces visited Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama in Suva to convey their birthday wishes to him. Bainimarama is celebrating his 60th birthday today. He was hosted to an early morning reception at his residence in Moanikau by officers of the Fiji Military Forces, Navy, Police and Fiji Correctional Services. Bainimarama thanked his officers for taking time to turn up in numbers and wish him well on his birthday. Coming up in sports, Western athletes shine at the Coca-Cola Games. And Vodafone Fiji Sevens team aims to finish off on a high note this season.
Fiji FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची एफएम लंबा साके.
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot.
देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Tangi tangi tawa में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singapore, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva. It's hot.
हम इंग्लिश लंबा सा में रहता है. तो क्या बताइए हम मिर्ची एफएम सुनता है.
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम जुलूम.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Welcome to FBC Sports. Now, day 2 of the Coca-Cola Games may have come to an end, but the champions remain the same. Western athletes stood out this year, particularly Natambua and Xavier. Elena McDonald highlights some events which made the difference this year.
At the start of day 2 of the Coca-Cola Games, St. Joseph fans were excited to have begun the day with the lead. But Andi Thakambau School showed true class in the 200-meter final, with Eleanor Sailosi taking the gold, while Jasper stayed in contention with Meriseni Naindau's gold medal wins in the 3,000-meter final today, while they scooped 3 grades in the 4x100-meter relays. Natambua's Batani Savu Ulayata proved too strong in the boys' intermediate 200-meter final, while teammates like Colin Vassay won gold for the Westerners in the 800-meter final. All in all, it was a good distribution of medals this year. Xavier College turned heads over the 2 days, while Suvagrama probably had their quietest performance to date. This year, though, Marist and Jasper remain victorious, and many can only look forward to doing one better at the next games. Elena McDonald, FBC Sports.
Xavier College's Paulo Mbuke may not have won the desired gold medal, but settling for a silver made it all worth trading his football boots for track shoes. He staged a tough challenge to defending champion Ineas Sealy in the 1500-meter final, and despite coming in a close second, he has no regrets. Praveen Narayan reports.
Switching from the football field to the tracks was not easy for former bar striker Paula Buke. The Xavier College scholar had a chance to represent Fiji in football, but the plan was shelved, with studies becoming his first priority.
Okay, actually I was selected to be in the under-20 member squad, but then my main priority is studies. So my guardian, the directors of Al-Fam Siba, they opted me to stay on my study education.
Unlike last year's race, gold medalist Ineas Sealy had to sweat to retain his title this year.
I was managed to beat him in the last 10 meters, I think, and good competition just like last.
Despite showing natural talent in athletics, Buke is on the move again, now shifting his interest to a third sport.
Actually, I'm looking forward for my rugby, like watching rugby at the moment, so trying to get the feel of it.
And whether it be football, athletics, rugby or his education, this bar lad is determined to achieve whatever goal he sets for himself. Praveen Narayan, FBC Sports.
2 tournaments remain in the IRB World 7 Series, and first up is the Scotland tournament next weekend. Fiji may be out of reach for the overall series title, but that doesn't mean they'll be taking things lightly on this final leg. Elena MacDonald reports our Sevens Gladiators are focused on finishing off on a high note this season.
Tough training sessions back home for Fiji has come down to the need to win in Glasgow and London. Looking at Fiji's pool in Scotland, Ben Ryan's strategies for this leg revolves around one aspect.
Physical, big boys. The Kenyans are huge. The Argentinians are very tough to break down defensively, and the Welsh are always strong in the last 2 tournaments back in the UK. So it's probably the worst pool out of the 4 as far as competition.
Kenya may not be as strong as Fiji earlier anticipated, with Kenya captain Andrew Amond and Oscar Uma ruled out due to injury. Whatever the situation with Fiji's opponents, confidence is high in the United Kingdom.
But we're the favourites, and everyone will be worried about us, and we just bring our home game, bring our best game that we can, and if we can do that, then we can finish with a real blast, I think, these last 2 tournaments.
Another motivation for Fiji to finish off on a high is to farewell tournament fastman Samisoni Virviri. He's Fiji's quickest, and there's no doubt he'll be out to cement his status as the leading try scorer at the end of this season too. Elena MacDonald, FBC Sports.
In the first leg of the home and away semi-finals of the OFC Champions League, Auckland City has taken the lead. They defeated AS Pire 3-0 with Emiliano managing a double in the 36th and 93rd minute of play. His teammate Moreira added the third in the 68th minute. Tomorrow, local football fans can look forward to the Vodafone 4R Electrical Bar versus Vanuatu's Amical at Govind Park. That game kicks off at 1 p.m. and you can join the voice of soccer Raymond Stoddard for a live commentary on Radio Fiji 2. Some showers prevailed over most places today. A heavy rain warning remains in force for Vanuatu, eastern half of Viti Levu, Taviuni and nearby smaller islands, northern Lao, Lomai Viti and the Yasawa group. Temperatures ranged from 29 to 32 degrees at the various centres recorded, although conditions changed in Lambasa from fine weather in the morning to cloud and showers in the afternoon. The friendly northern town topped the charts with 32 degrees. Tomorrow, rain and thunderstorms are forecast. And you can expect more of the same on Monday. Recapping our top stories tonight. Maris Brothers and Jasper Williams High Schools retain their titles at the Coca-Cola Games. The new Pacific Islands Development Forum or PIDF Secretariat has opened in Suva today. And former forum official Feleti Teo will be the new Secretary General of the Pacific Islands Development Forum. To our poll question now. This week we ask, are you familiar with the elections voting process? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page FBC News. Or if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. Before we go, if you're in the capital, come on down to the Silver Foreshore to enjoy great entertainment by some of the top bands and dance groups in the country. I will be back tomorrow. Good night.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची एफएम लंबा सा।
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot. देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Dengue tahu me? Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singatoka love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva.
It's hot.
हम वहीं लंबासा में रहता है, तो क्या बताइए हम मिर्ची एफएम सुनता है।
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम जुलूम.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.